Marius, welcome on stage.
Yeah, hello.
Great
So
to see you.
to start, there was the question before if you can peel the things in the dry state off. So I just rushed to one of our samples and I peeled it off. So to answer the question is yes, you can do it. And now maybe you have even more flexibility. Just have to apply the heat for people.
Nice.
But today I brought you probably one of the oldest patents about electromyographic clothing. It has everything: textile electrodes, interconnections, analysis tool, electronic module. It can measure and it can stimulate. It was patented by G.P. Cullen and B. Bolland, and it is from the year 1902. 1902. I think two things stick. First, it's 120 years. And patent drawings did not get any better in the past 120 years. If you look at modern patents, maybe it's even worse. And second, 120 years. In this time, we had like two world wars. We went to the moon, we put things to the Mars, we built atomic power plants, we stopped building them in Germany again. We had internet, we have now ChatGPT 4, but still there is no good electromyographic clothing on the market. And it's even worse. It's not that people don't try. If you look at the Silicon Valley startup Atos in the year 2012, it was one of the best ideas of this year. And the founder, Dhananjay Chalaya, was in Forbes 30 under 30, and he collected millions of euros or dollars for building this product. And this was 120 years where all these components were already there, but they failed. So why is it so hard to build it? And what goes wrong, and maybe even like why do we think now could be a time to build it? So the reason why the idea of electromyographic clothing, that is clothing that measures muscle activity, always comes up is the pure potential of the market size and the problems, like no matter from Parkinson's, from amputations, from sports rehabilitation, from measuring your gut like speeches, there's so many possibilities and the numbers just look impressive, but what comes out of a product is not so good. So in the next 10 minutes, I will show you what needs to be done and understood, that like 125 years after this first patent that it already had it, we have some actually good commercial products on the market. So we start first with the theory of muscle activity, the signals, the trends, the measuring system. Then we continue to the textile electromyographic system and give a small conclusion. So EMG, the electromyography, is really easy to measure but hard to understand. If you look at the signal, it has like up to 2 millivolt amplitude. That's way more than ECG, like heart rate or like brain waves, way more. But it looks kind of noisy. It looks like when you're talking, like when you speech. But in fact, here it's not like one person speaking, but it's all the small parts of your muscles, the motor units speaking, and hundreds of them. And that's why such a noise-like system comes out. So it starts in the brain, in the axon, the signal propagates, and then you have this activation potential with this shape. This activation potential then propagates along the muscle fiber, goes through the T tubuli into the muscles, and then you have a calcium release and a sliding filament mechanism. So they propagate, and all the movements now depend on two things only, like how many small motor units you have in your hand. Like here in the forearm, you have like hundreds of them, and like how many of them are activated and how fastly they are activated. So let's look at some graphs. So here we have a graph, and you see when you have really low frequency, 2 hertz activation, you can actually see the spikes of the muscle movement. So you would see a non-smooth movement. But normally they're activated by like 20, 30 hertz, and they're like from everywhere. So you have a small movement, and you can see the muscle force and all the movements just depending mainly on these two parameters. But then the signal that propagated along the muscle goes through the muscle tissue and the skin. And normally everything is ionic in our body. So like at low frequency, what we have here, it's ionic. But the upper part of the skin is dry. We always have this problem, so we have to wet them. So it's the biggest barrier and the signal is reduced. So now it's